Hi, everybody. This is the Comic Book Club, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, and welcome back to the Comic Book Club, and hopefully you like this video. So, Sesame Street everyone's talking about it on Twitter, and I thought this was kind of interesting for me to sort of discuss here. Obviously, they are on PBS, although they've been going on to, I guess HBO, and, I think they're on Netflix too, and they try to make money on the side, but they are really publicly funded, and they've been publicly funded since 1969. And this has been we've all grown up with it. Bert and Ernie, Big Bird, Snuffleupagus, Mr. Hooper. Mr. Hooper's rolling over in his grave after this post by the clowns. By the people that bring you the letter G for groomer, and we'll get into this. As you know, we're going to be inundated with the rainbow. The rainbow used to be the symbol of God and his pact that he made with man, that he would never flood the earth again after the great flood. That's what the rainbow is about. It's God's symbol. And it's a big reason why the communists and the gays took that, just to basically, this is a slap in the face towards God, quite frankly. And I would mention Sesame Street is government funded. So as a taxpayer, I shouldn't have to pay for this monkey crap. Okay? Work my ass off. I don't need to see this. And I don't need to see this in my face for a month. We should have a Veterans Month. Okay? Instead of having all this nonsense, all this degenerate sexuality, we should be saluting the troops. But on Sunday, Sesame Street put this out. On our street, everyone is welcome. However, that's what I say. However, if you're conservative, if you're MAGA, if you're Christian or a parent, you're not welcome. Together, let's build a world where every person and family feels loved and respected for who they are. If you're a mother and a father, you're not respected. If you're a Trump supporter, you're not respected. And this is the photo, the picture they put out. Obviously, you know what this is. This is the degenerate, satanic, horrible image of all these colors. And like I said, this was God's symbol, and God will reclaim it. He will. He will reclaim this at some point. He will have his say in this at some point. But anyway, so we know that things are getting off the beaten trail. I mean, they're showing like trans on the different programs with Sesame Street. But then they doubled down on this again, and I was going to read you this article from Newsmax, but the site is horrible. It's so slow. And they basically said Republicans were outraged. No, pretty much everybody was outraged by this. And I'm going to read you some of the comments going through this, and which was very interesting to me. Very interesting. I'm going to read you some of the comments, and this is just general. This isn't even just Republicans. The Panic says kids don't care about sexual preferences. Only perverts and pedophiles are talking to children about sex. From Kaida. Why do kids need to know about sex, let alone gay sex? Right. Libs of TikTok, we know about her. Groomers. Obviously, they really degenerated into a horrible situation. Now, I would remind you, a few years ago, Elmo got himself into trouble. That should have been memory hold a few years ago, that the actor, the puppeteer, who plays Elmo, got himself into trouble with a kid. That's sort of been forgotten, amazingly enough. Should have gotten fired and probably put in prison. Elmo didn't do it. Oh, really? Elmo was framed. I don't know. It's from Retard Finder. Not joking. Sickening you just made the list. Effing retards. Clandestine. How about you stop worrying about the sexuality of children, just focus on basic math and ABCs? Now, we always knew that they were doing different relationships. Some parents aren't together and stuff like that. But once you veer off into the sort of what government is promoting, and that's the problem. Government's promoting this stuff. So some people are so stupid. Okay, that sounds like a great idea, and they accept it. The government tells them. I still see people with masks on, folks. I don't know about you. You still see people with masks on. I think we know that's all been debunked. But these people haven't been told about the debunking. They keep wearing the masks. Key West Jess Sesame Street are now groomers, and she's promoting June's Veterans Month, and that's what we should have. Viva Frel, this is grooming, this is criminal, this is perversion. And like I said, the rainbow was always God's symbol on earth, and that's why they took it. That's why they took it. Graham says you are groomers and should be taken off the air. Here's the thing, it's such a scam what's going on at PBS and NPR, that it should be all defunded. And I would mention Elmo and the Muppets have been trying to sue Trump to make sure that it doesn't get defunded. If they had the ability to sort of go in with the market, at this point they would go out of business. And the only reason they haven't gone out of business is they got all this old stuff that they could still play that is not degenerate. It's safe for kids. Gunther says, stay away from our kids. May says, Classic Sesame Street was such a good show and did so much good for children. Absolutely. Censoran says, can someone explain to me why 2 to 5-year-olds need this messaging? Because they're being groomed and they're being, getting them ready for that great ritual, this old satanic ritual. From Ollie London, this is a TV show aimed at kids. You should not be pushing any messaging like this. It's wrong. We mentioned about Ollie. I think he's gay. There are 17,000 messages, 17,000 comments, folks, on X about this whole situation. And as far as I can tell, folks, I don't think any other YouTuber that's worth their weight in gold is talking about this. And they should. I mean, really, they should. Really focus in on this. I'll do it. If I get one view, I'll do it. Heather Translation says Sesame Street has been teaching the language of kindness since 1969. What makes their Pride Month message so powerful is how they're always excelled at creating vocabulary. Yeah, okay. Nobody wants to see these goofball perverts around your 2-year-old kid. I mean, really, nobody wants to see this. Let's see. I mean, nobody wants to see this. I mean, really, we want to see why does it have to be in June? Hakeem says targeting kids with evil, sickening. It's satanic. That's what this is. Satan has said many things. The biggest lie that Satan ever said was that there was no God, there's no good in the world, and that there's no gender. God's very specific, very early on in the Bible. He says there's 2 genders, male and female, and that there is God in the world, and there is goodness in the world. God exists, and there is goodness in the world. But unfortunately, people don't believe that. And that's how you get... I would mention also, this is a very destructive thing for societies. All societies get destroyed by this stuff. If you promote this, it destroys it. Because then you can't have families, you can't have society. If you don't have a family, you don't have, aren't constantly bringing in new children, then you can't have a healthy society. I mean, here's Corbin says, why is gay sex relevant to children's programming? Nick, effing groomers. That's true. I mean, it's just insane. And Mother Mary said, I'm a Christian, believe we were not made to have sex with those of the same sex, or animals or children or relatives. Am I welcome? Well, yes, you are. But the problem is that government's been pushing this. government, 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 and the CIA. And we know there's still problems there, okay? Trump hasn't eradicated them all this early on. But this is a problem from top to bottom. Throughout the whole government, throughout the whole society. And it has to be rooted out. And you have to talk about it. As far as I know, like I said, no big YouTubers talking about this. I'm not a big YouTuber, but I could have been. Especially on this side. I could have been on this side. But no one's talking about this. In fact, some of the more degenerate YouTubers wouldn't touch this. Well, some of the responses were very interesting, and I'd like to know what your response is in the comments section. See, this is what it is. And the Lord said, nope, this is mine. And he will reclaim this. He will reclaim the rainbow. Don't doubt me. Well, I know what thing you can't doubt is subscribe to the Comic Book Hut. And I hope that you, of course, hit the subscribe button, like this video, share this video. Let people know that we're going to be, we all know we're going to be inundated with this garbage. But Sesame Street had to put this out there in your face. And that's the problem, is they're not quiet about it. It's all in your face. I'm sick of this crap. I know you are too. So, and it's not bigoted, okay? Nobody knows if you're that or you're not, unless you tell them that you're gay. You don't know unless they tell you. If they're telling you, they want you to know. I don't want to know. I don't give a shit. But I don't want it in my face. That's the problem. They want you to accept their insanity, accept their mental illness. I'm not accepting any of that nonsense. I got my own problems. And clearly, these people have their own problems beyond belief. So, thank you for watching this wonderful ending to a video. And of course, please subscribe to the Comic Book Hut. And I'll see you later.